Talk about Yom Kippur. Let's see, that's how we'll do it. This month we should spend a lot of time talking about
all the Gospels.
All the holidays coming up.
Yeah.
The Gospel.
Gospel of Luke.
Oh. All right, tell me when you're ready.
So we'll.
Oh, we're not even 7. We're not even 7 o'clock. So we have to warm up the crowd now.
What counts is what's on video. The chat room doesn't count.
But if somebody comes in as a good viewer at 7:01, right? And they already missed 5 minutes. That's not
They
nice.
can catch it on YouTube. They miss out on it anyway.
Oh, is that how it works?
Crappy sound quality.
Oh, does it sound like Darth Vader right now? Is anybody saying that? I tuned in earlier this week when you were talking to
Sweetser?
And it sounded like this. That's exactly how it sounded. And then I said, okay, now I get it, because people always talk about how bad the sound is. I kind of wanted to see it for myself.
Right.
Yeah. The actual visual was very good. It was not as crisp and clear as your camera.
Right.
You know, the YouTubes are much better.
Right.
But it was clear enough that you could see both people.
Right.
But the problem was the sound was just god-awful.
So I thought we could start with talking about the homosexuals walking down Pico Boulevard, stopping in Jeff's Gourmet, wearing T-shirts saying "We commit the act expressly forbidden by the Torah," and wearing.
Who did that? Who did that?
No one in particular, but remember we discussed that last week.
Oh!
You might have been,
I'm so asleep at the wheel here.
You might have said.
I thought you were saying a true story.
No.
And I'm thinking to myself, did that happen today? Did I not? How come nobody told me?
And you thought you might have second thought.
Okay, let me bring everybody up to
Yeah.
speed. So last week we were talking, and we said that I don't even know how we got into
We
this.
had an argument. I said that...
No, but there was something in La Parsha which led to it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, but I said that there's a huge difference between public and private.
Right.
And that if you want to identify as Orthodox, you should keep your sins private.
Right, that's what you said.
Generally speaking.
I'm the kind
and
of...
that some sins are really significant.
Okay.
And you should definitely keep them private, such as committing the homosexual act forbidden by the Torah, which is to have anal sex, men with men. It's
Right.
expressly forbidden by the Torah, and you should keep quiet about that if you want to be a part of Orthodox Jewish life. And you said, hey, but they're just being honest.
Right. See, 'cause my thing is like this. I have a different perspective. I don't really respect the attitude of, oh, I'm going to take all my sins and I'm going to sweep them under a carpet and I'm going to pretend that I don't have them, and then I'm going to continue this pretentiousness in front of everybody else and act like I'm holier than thou and I'm perfect and I don't do anything wrong, and then I'm going to talk down to everyone from this
Holy place.
From this moral high ground, when in reality that moral high ground which the person has is really they're just standing on top of the carpet that's holding down all their sins.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between them and me is I don't have that problem because I take all my sins and I put them right in front of me so that everybody can see them. And I gave the example of I cuss like a sailor, I say shit, fuck, whatever, and I don't care, right?
Right.
Because that's who I am and I'm not pretentious. And the difference between me and somebody else is like everybody's like, ooh, how can he do that? How can the rabbi say pussy? And
Right.
I'm not comfortable. Somebody commented on your YouTube, I think it was it on your YouTube? Because they saw the thing with me in Pico Kosher Deli, and they said, I'm not comfortable with the fact the rabbi said fuck and piss. And I'm thinking, okay, I could have covered them up, and, while you weren't looking, what you don't see here is me, give me something,
A horrendous deed.
Yes, doing something behind the, beating up some kid.
Yeah.
How about that? How about that? Would you be happier about the fact that I beat up a 9-year-old defenseless kid, right? But God forbid I should say piss and fuck, right? On YouTube, right? Okay, so it's like, one is, I'm outwards with the things that I do wrong, and other people aren't comfortable with it. But I don't do the things wrong that make me uncomfortable that other people do that they hide. And so I'm saying I'd rather be the guy doing them in front of people. You know what? And the truth of the matter is, if somebody's beating up a 9-year-old, I want to see them do it. Because I want to know that that person is beating up 9-year-old kids. I want to know that they're doing it. I don't want them to beat up a 9-year-old kid, but if they're going to do it, I want to see it, because I want to see who these people really are, and rather than the pretentious facade that they're presenting to me. Does that make sense to you?
Right.
Okay, then I had a conversation with Leslie. With Leslie, I just looked and saw.
You had a conversation with me.
No, I just saw. I was looking.
No.
I saw the Leslie Undergroup. I had a conversation with
Me?
Levy, not Leslie. Levy. It's the same pronunciation almost. After the show, and I said, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, there's a couple of averas. There's a couple of sins that a person might do that. There's a couple of sins that a person might do that are of such a great magnitude that I might actually agree. Because we started talking about this, and we're talking about like the homosexual act. If a guy like says, hey, I commit the homosexual act, and I have no problem with the guy, right?
Right.
Because he's struggling.
Right.
It's not easy. It'd be the same thing as me, because I'm experiencing the same thing. Not from my attraction to guys, but my attraction to females, and because I'm forced into a situation where I have to remain celibate for my entire life. And it's not easy, and I'm struggling with that. It's not easy. It makes me suicidal. So if a guy it tells me, I'm having to give that up, and I'm having a really hard time with that, I can understand that. But that's not the same thing as you mentioned, walking into Jeff's Gourmet with a T-shirt and says, I bang your son. I park it in his ass, deal with it, and proudly stick it in his ass, right on the T-shirt. It's a little different, and I started thinking about it, because this is like considered even one of the 7 Noach headlines, right? And so it's always in there. It's always considered one of the immoral sexual acts. It's right up there with bestiality and incest. And here's the kicker: having relations with another man's wife. And I started thinking about it. If a guy walked down the street, because like we were saying, like, should you do all your sins in front of other people, right?
Yeah.
If a guy walked down the street arm in arm with another man's wife, and I knew that she was so-and-so's wife. It's like I know the guy and I know his wife, and then she's walking arm in arm with some guy, and she's like kissing him, and like, and there's like a sign like I'm with him and I'm doing him or something. I would go nuts, and I might kick this guy's fucking ass in, and I don't know why, but that really gets me angry. And I don't know why that is, but when the thought of a guy and a woman blatantly showing such contempt, and it's not, probably my anger does not come from their contempt for the halacha, it's more the contempt for the guy, the poor victim in this case, who's the woman's husband, but it makes me want to kick this guy's ass. And I don't know, it's just weird. So I'm thinking, if that makes me want to kick that guy's ass, and that gets me so angry, now I can maybe understand your anger, or your contempt, disdain, distaste, for a guy who would, let's say, walk into Jeff's Gourmet with a sign, with a shirt saying, I'm doing your son in the a-hole, and I'm happy about it, right? Which doesn't really fire me up the way it would if he had a shirt saying, I'm fucking your wife, right? And I don't know why, but that really pisses me off, and that gets me angry.
Yeah.
And I can't really put logic on some of this, because it sounds like it's coming from my emotions or whatever, but I'm just telling you, a guy who does it with another man's wife really gets me angry.
Is a guy doing it with another man's wife, is that more serious than a guy wearing a garment